Hey everyone, how y'all doing today?
Hey guys.
So today is a very special podcast. It's a very special podcast, right?
Yeah, this podcast is very special because not only are we going to be having a very special guest,
Yes, we are. We're gonna have a special guest.
but also we're going to jump into our holistic lifestyle.
Yes, yes.
Many of you know, some of you don't, but we live an alkaline lifestyle.
Mhm.
We eat very clean, and we're going to jump into that in the video. And not only eating wise, but also body.
We just did a video maybe like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
So make sure you go back and watch that video. It's talking about faith, okay? It's about our journey and our faith and our walk with Christ.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
And we just want to actually appreciate all of our subscribers.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much.
So sit back, relax, wherever you are. You may be in your car, or you may be at home, maybe in the living room. Just sit back and relax, get you something to eat, and watch.
Enjoy this video.
All right, everyone. This is another podcast. Now, Will and Bri. Okay, so this is a very special podcast.
Yes.
A very special podcast. So I'm gonna introduce this person that we actually known him seen him on Instagram and social media and everything. And I was looking for someone to talk to because I was going through, and we're gonna get into that. I was going through certain illness situations and stuff, and he helped me out a lot. He's the one taught me how to get better, and I got better ever since then. So let me go ahead and introduce. His name is Carl Crush Foster. He is an Alkaline eclectic chef, a co-owner of a Healthy Crush LLC, and a co-founder of Alkaline Eclectic. He is a healing chef, digestive coach, and internet personality. He has co-authored several cookbooks: An Alkaline Holiday, Beyond Vegan Chickpeas and Garbanzo Beans, Beyond Vegan Food Prep for Healing and Minerals Fast, and Mucus-Free Food Detox. He's also a co-author of a holistic health guidebook, Alkaline Eclectic, the new standard for healthy living. He is the creator of his own seasoning, super cookie, an alkaline snack, and bio munch, a husband of one wife who is his co-partner.
Yes.
They are the former owners of the Juice Huggers, a Healthy Crush cafe. They officially renamed their company a Healthy Crush to incorporate all the various elements of their business. Crush is the CFO, the executive chef, and a healthy lifestyle activist.
Yeah.
He is the mastermind behind all the healthy recipes created for both Juice Hugger and a Healthy Crush, along with his wife, Kelly, who is the CEO and creative director for a Healthy Crush. She also has a hair product called the Crown of Brooklyn Hair Detox Kit. They also offer e-courses, workshops, cooking classes, and a Healthy Crush pickup events. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I didn't even remember all of it. I'm like, who's he talking about?
Yes, sir. I'm glad that we have you. It's an honor to have you.
Yeah.
I do want to say that the reason why, because we're going to get into talking about the holistic lifestyle, the alkaline lifestyle, and I'll be honest with you, out of everybody that I contact with, everybody that I've seen, you're the one that I can really learn from.
Yeah.
And actually, also, he's the one that, a lot of people can teach you a lot of things. They have a lot of knowledge, but the difference between you, I love your, how would I say it? Y'all like a wholesome couple to me when I see y'all. It's very, you ever see like in the 80s and 90s shows, you ever see like the Huxtables or something like that? It's kind of like, I feel like family, and it feel like family, and one thing about you, when you explain things, you don't say the what, but you say the why.
Yeah.
And when you say the why, you give the understanding, not just the knowledge, but the understanding of it. And that's why I can come to you, because you give us the understanding. I can understand you better. And so that's why I say we got to get him, because he
I appreciate that.
So Um, as we're gonna start off with this first. Um, Alkaline. Speaking of Alkaline, why did you went to this journey, starting off the Alkaline journey? You
Mm-hmm.
know, speaking like you could speak on your testimony. I heard your testimony before, even with you and your wife. So kind of speak how y'all laid on to the journey, because I know in the book I heard y'all try vegan, y'all tried the what it called, the blood test,
Yeah, blood type
the
diet.
blood
Yep.
type diet, so different
Yeah.
things. So tell us how you went through all these different lifestyles,
And you
and you can't
stopped at
and
Alkaline.
you stopped at Alkaline. You said, you know what, this is it.
This is it.
This the
Yeah.
journey. So go ahead.
Well, we were trying a lot of that stuff when we had the restaurant. The restaurant came about because we were doing juice cleanses, juice fasts at
Yeah.
that time, and this was around 2010 when the juice fasting was like at its peak. It was like one of the biggest things going. And we decided I'm going to make juice cleanses. Now, I was doing juice cleanses. I didn't have the restaurant yet. I was just kind of like renting a little space to do it. And I would make juices and deliver them to people. And then we came upon the restaurant. It was a vacant restaurant. It used to be a African restaurant, and they had all the equipment in there already. And I guess whoever was there before left and left everything just the way that it was. And the owner didn't want to break everything down and try to sell the equipment and everything. So he was like, I'm just going to rent it the way that it is. I mean, it was really bad. We had to do like a lot of cleaning and remodel the whole place, but all the equipment was there. So once we got it up and running and I was making the juices there, I was looking around at all this equipment and I was like, man, this is like practically, new stuff. Like, what can we do? Should we start doing food too? So we put together a menu. And to be honest with you, I didn't know how to cook big portions like restaurant style. I
Mm.
mean, I took classes and training, but it was still like just for us. So in order to cook big pots of stuff to share at a restaurant, it took some learning to do. And once I got the hang of it and I got used to it, I got into the cooking thing and I started taking more classes and I had like trained chefs come in that were my friends and I would just train with them and work with them until I kind of got my footing into the chef world. And it kind of just took off from there. But we were still doing the juices and I was delivering juices to other stores. So we had 10 stores that we used to stock with juice, plus our own fridge. So I would get there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, do all the juicing, deliver to all the stores, and then come back and cook for the day. So I was working like just about 7 days a week. Because on the day that I wasn't working, I would work there 6 days a week. And on the day I wasn't working, I had to go pick up supplies and come back and stock and prep. So I was literally working 7 days a week for like 3 years straight before we took like a few days vacation.
Wow.
Um,
That's
and through working so hard, we were mostly cooking vegan food, but we used to cook. We had we had giant prawns, which it's not something that I was eating, but we had them because when we first came into the neighborhood, people were this is Brooklyn, so it was like, what are you guys cooking? What do you have here? They thought we were coming to gentrify the place because we had fresh pressed juices that were like, $8 to $10 each. And they were like, who's going to pay $8 to $10 for a juice? Now them juices are like $12. But
Right.
at that time, they were like, well, you guys are just waiting for the new gentrification people to come in. And this doesn't really fit with what's going on here. And that quickly changed because people were coming in for juice cleanses. They were coming in for vegan meals. We doubled down on like all the vegan meals. We had prawns and we had chicken breasts. Those were the two things that we had that were like for meat eaters. And eventually I started to feel a way about it because it's like, why am I serving things that we don't necessarily eat? So I took those off the menu. And when I did that, we lost customers. There were people that were like, we ain't coming in no more because you don't got the chicken sandwich no more. And you're not doing the shrimp no more. And so that took a little bit of, getting used to. But once it was like a completely fully vegan restaurant, we were still eating vegan food that was like, soy base and corn and like detrimental oils. And Kelly got sick. She got really sick. She ended up with leaky gut. And so like her skin got real pale, like jaundice, her hair was falling out. She was having muscle cramps and spasms. Like one day she fainted while we were at work. And I was like, all right, something's got to give. We got to figure out what's going on. She got checked out. They told her she had leaky gut. And to heal leaky gut, what they told her to do was doing the things that she was already doing, like all of the foods and stuff that we were eating, the vegan meals and the replacements and all of that. We had to cut all of that out. And I was working one day and someone handed me the phone and it was this woman with a small little voice asking me for a vegetable soup, and she wanted me to pick the peas and the carrots out of the soup. And I was like, I don't understand, but all right, I'm busy because I'm cooking and I got the phone in my ear. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I picked as many out as possible and I gave them to her, and someone came, picked up the food, and it went. The next day, I got the same call again. It was this woman, and she wanted me to pick the carrots and peas out of the soup. And I didn't need more than 2 calls for that. I was like, all right, what's going on with these peas and the carrots in the soup? And she was like, it's too many. Can you take some out? And I was like, all right, I don't have time for this call. I'll just do it. So when the person came to pick the soup up, I went out there. I was like, when they come, let me know, because they know I was trapped in the kitchen. So when they came, they were like, they're here. So I went out, and it was Cesar. It was Dr. Sebi's son. And he was like, yeah, my mom, we don't necessarily eat peas and carrots because they're hybrids. And he was trying to explain to me who Dr. Sebi was and like what it was all about. And I was like, oh, he was like, yeah, people come to my father to heal from illness and, all of this. And I was like, huh. That gave me an idea, because I was like, she's suffering, from these foods that we eat. And maybe I should, adopt his diet, whatever that is. So I went on the website and I looked him up. At the time, him and Ma'a were separated. It happened to be Ma'a on the phone who was asking me to take out the peas and the carrots. So I asked Cesar, I was like, what's the deal with the peas and the carrots? He started telling me about Dr. Sebi, gave me the website address, and I went on it. At that time, the website was Fig Tree, because him and Ma'a were still together, but they had just separated. So on the website, it had a note that said that Dr. Sebi is no longer affiliated with the Fig Tree. If you want his products, to call this phone number. He didn't have a website yet or nothing. And so it was a phone number. I called, I left a message, told him that I wanted like a copy of the nutritional guide and whatever information. And I left my email address, and I got an email, and the email had the nutritional guide, had like these different foods and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this. So I took it and I stuck it on the refrigerator at home. I opened the fridge. I threw out all of the stuff because I read what he was saying about all the hybrids and get rid of all of this. So I got rid of everything, condiments, everything. And at the time, I was watching a lot of Iron Chef, Chopped, those kinds of where, they'll bring you a box and they're like, okay, here's this box of foods. You can only make what's in this box.
Right.
And so I was kind of already in that mode. So I was like, okay, these are the foods that I got to cook. All right, well, let me see what I can do with it. So I started making things, and I was like, oh, this is a flour. I can make pancakes. Oh, these are chickpeas. What if I mash them down and turn it into a patty? This would be a chicken sandwich, or this will be. So I was making things to try to keep it interesting for her. And so everything that I made, I wrote on a whiteboard that was on our refrigerator. I kept the nutritional guide here, and I kept the whiteboard with what we would eat in here. And every time we made anytime we drank anything, ate anything, I put it down. And after 7 days of doing that, she started to feel better. Her skin started to get flush again. Like, she started to feel good again. She had energy again. She wasn't dealing with stomach pain and stuff anymore. And I was like, all right, well, this seems like it's working. I mean, look at you. You're like coming back to life here. And I took that list of things that we ate, and I remember I went online and I had joined a Dr. Sebi group. It was the Dr. Sebi Who and What group, which is the mother group of like all groups. Dr. Sebi didn't even have a community online outside of this group. So this group was like directly connected with his office, because he opened an office in LA. And I was telling people like what we went through. My wife was sick, and I started cooking these foods from the nutritional guide, and I made ice cream, and I was making pancakes. And people was like, how are you doing all of that from, these few little foods or whatever? Teach us. And I was like, you want me to post the recipes? You want me to post a book of what we did? Because I wrote it all down. It was like, yeah, why don't you put it all in a book? And then I was like, a book. We should write a book. So I got busy. I took a class on how to write a book. And I started putting the chapters together, and like within a month and a half or so, we had the Mucus-Free Food Detox. That was the first book. And that was the book that basically changed everything. Because when we got the book printed up, about a month and a half later, I came back to the group and was like, all right, the book is ready. Anybody who's interested in the book, let me know. I took a picture and I put it up. And 300 comments later, everybody was like, I want that book. I want that book. I want that book. We sold like 200, almost 300 copies of that book out the gate. The printer they loved us because we kept coming back like, we need another 50 books. We need another 100 books. We need another 75 books. Wow. And so they were like, how are you selling these? Where are you selling these books at so fast? Like, what are these vegan recipes? What is this? Alkaline? Like, they had no idea what was going on. Wow. And everything kind of took off from there, from that book. And from there, we started releasing other books, and we didn't end up closing the restaurant until October of 2015. We closed the restaurant. I had the book. I had Dr. Sebi's phone number because someone that knew him gave me his phone number. I never met the man before. I never talked to him before. And we had the book, and I was like, well, I think he would love this book because his whole nutritional guide is in here and people are loving it or whatever. I'm going to see if I can get his blessing on this book. So I picked up the phone and I called him one day just to make sure it was his number. And sure enough, he answered the phone on like the second ring, and I hung up.
Wait,
I was
you hung up
I was
on
too
me.
nervous because I didn't want to waste his time. I just wanted to see if it was his number because someone gave it to me, and I was like, this can't be his number. You think this is his number? And she was like, I don't know. We should call it. And I was like, I'm gonna call it. She was like, nah, you know what? Wait until we got the book all set and everything, and then we'll call. And then when I had the book all set up, I was like, all right, I'm gonna call. And I called, he answered, and I wasn't ready to talk to him, so I hung up on him. And so I heard his voice on the phone and I hung up. And then maybe it was probably 3 weeks to a month later when someone reported that he was in jail. And we were like, no way. Because there were rumors that he had been locked up and he had died. There were all these things that had happened like months prior. So this time we were like, is this another hoax or whatever? Because someone said that he had died, and he shot a video and was like, alive, I ain't died. Blah, 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 blah. Right. So we were like, all right, is this another hoax? And turned out he really was in jail. And nobody knew. We were the only ones that knew. So we went to the group and was like, yo, Dr. Sebi's locked up. And they were like, whatever, that's not true. And we were like, yeah, it is. So we kept trying to confirm. We called the office. We were calling people that knew him. And sure enough, he was in jail. So everyone was scrambling to try and see like what we could do, whether we should call Usha Village. But Usha Village was supposed to be the ones that gave the documents to let them know that the cash that he had on him, that they arrested him for having, was his own. And it was a whole ordeal. But that was kind of like our launch into it. And it was like maybe a month and a half or so later, he passed away. And everybody was devastated. So we had missed our chance to meet him. We had missed our chance to show him the book. And from there, we just really took that really, really hard. Like it was a damper on the entire community when he passed away. And from there, we were like, look, let's just keep it going. Like, let's just keep helping people. So we came out with another book and another book and another book. And like, we studied everything that he did. Like at that time, it was rich with Dr. Sebi videos on YouTube and like all over the internet. And so we took all of that stuff. We downloaded everything. We screenshotted everything. We took everything. We have a library of like almost all his videos that were online that I've curated and kept. Like there's still videos that we have that nobody has. Radio interviews. We got everything we could get our hands on. And so we really studied what he was doing, and what that led us to was eclectic medicine. That's where Dr. Sebi got all his stuff from, eclectic medicine. And eclectic medicine was a practice of about 20,000 doctors in the late 1800s, early 1900s. They only practiced herbal medicine, hydrotherapy. They didn't believe in opening up the body. That's where he got, if the body was meant to be open, it would have a zipper. That came from the eclectics. Only using herbs and not using chemical medicine. That came from the eclectics. But when Carnegie and Rockefeller came along, Carnegie was an oil baron. Rockefeller was an oil baron, and Carnegie was like a public speaker, educator. The two of them got together and decided, we're going to only put our money behind chemical medicine, because he had petroleum, and all of the medicine was petroleum based. So they were like, we're going to basically take over the medical industry, and we're going to defund any doctors who don't follow our curriculum. Wow. So they hired a guy named Flexner, and Flexner came out with something called the Flexner Report. The Flexner Report basically standardized their medicine and basically said that plant medicine wasn't trackable, scalable. It wasn't, you couldn't measure it. And so it was thereby ineffective. And so anybody who practiced, plant medicine was basically defunded. So they basically had to disband. They weren't getting funding. They weren't getting money. And Carnegie and Rockefeller only funded chemical medicine, which is the pharmaceutical industry we have today. And so tracing back to the eclectics, we started to find everything that Dr. Sebi was about. A lot of things like, he didn't read books. He didn't read books. He read treaties. He read treaties, essays, dissertations by the eclectics, because they weren't writing books. They were writing like treaties, essays, and those kinds of things. So that's what he was reading. Things on microfiche, things that were in agricultural libraries. That's where he was doing his research. So they weren't. So when people were like, "What book should I read?" He was like, "There is no books. There's no books on what it is that I'm reading." Wow. But he didn't say, I was going back to microfiche and I was going back to essays and treaties. So that's kind of how we got to. I know I blew right past a whole bunch
of
stuff.
You're fine. This is all good.
That's kind of how we got into it, by studying Dr. Sebi took us back to studying the eclectics, and that's where we found a lot of what he did came from. So he talks about Imhotep and Hippocrates, and a lot of those guys. Imhotep in Africa is the start of it. Hippocrates went to Africa, studied Imhotep, and then that's where the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, let food be thy medicine. That's where all that stuff came from, because Hippocrates got that from Imhotep in Africa. And that's where the eclectics got everything from. They studied Hippocrates until, of course, the Flexner Report and Carnegie and Rockefeller came along, and they kind of wiped all of that away. So
yeah. So can you explain like what is alkaline?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Alkaline is a lot of people get like a misconception of alkaline. Now, when you say alkaline, you're talking about the pH scale. Anything above 7 is alkaline. Anything below is acid. Anything right on the line is neutral. But when it comes to the differentiation that Dr. Sebi made was that the body is alkaline because we're above 7. So that's our natural state is an alkaline state. Mm-hmm. When we get into illness and sickness is when the body's pH goes below that. A lot of people argue that the human body self-regulates its pH balance, which is true. It does do that. Like, so if you eat something acidic, the body is going to regulate its pH balance. But the way that it does that is by taking those trace minerals, those alkaline minerals from other parts of the body in order to keep your blood alkaline. So if you've got calcium in your bones and it needs calcium in order to balance your pH, it's going to take that calcium. If you've got iron somewhere, it's going to go and it's going to take that iron and gather it together so that the body's pH stays in balance. And people will say, well, you can't make the body, alkaline, because if you do that, then you're going to suffer from alkalosis or alkalosis. And that's partially true, but in assisting the body in keeping its alkaline balance, you assist the body in optimal healing. And that's the concept of alkaline, not making your body alkaline, but helping to maintain its current alkaline state.
Right.
Now, there's a few different facets to it. Now, alkaline food, on the other hand, when Dr. Sebi did his studying for alkaline, it wasn't necessarily the food, it was the herbs. And so what he did was he took the herbs from the eclectics and he got rid of any herbs that weren't alkaline, that weren't native plants. So any hybrids like comfrey, he talks about that. He talks about peppermint. He talks about golden seal and echinacea. All of those are hybrids. So what he did is he removed the hybrids by having all of them tested in the lab. So when he tested them, the ones that came back with an alkaline pH and that were native plants, he kept those and got rid of the ones that weren't. So those are the herbs. Now, when it comes to the food, certain foods, yes, are alkaline, but the nutritional guide of least detrimental foods was never a list of alkaline foods. It was a list of least detrimental foods, because on it, you've got grapeseed oil, avocado oil, sesame oil. Oil is not alkaline. So it being on the list is, it's not that. Most apples are hybrids. So it's not that you're getting, alkaline apples. You're just getting least detrimental apples. So the reason for the nutritional guide was so that the compounds would work, because people were just eating crap anyway and taking its compounds, and it would either slow down its effect or it wasn't working at all. And so he had to come up with a list of foods.
Speaking of that, talking nutritional guys, see, Gab could come on with this. How can we decipher, like, what is less detrimental or what is alkaline, because many times we see in the alkaline community, especially people that's trying to get into the alkaline or trying to study a holistic lifestyle, we see somebody say, well, don't use this and blah blah blah. And then you come and say somebody saying use this and you saying you're alkaline too. So like
Right.
what is right, what is wrong? The nutritional guide, like some people say, for example, I heard seeing some people that was alkaline, some people saying they using purple potato, and I see
Right.
people use cacao. So I'm like,
Right.
and then I hear some people say, no, don't use cacao. I'm seeing a lot of
Right.
different things. So it kind of confused people that comes in to the
Right.
community, and like now they overwhelmed because they're looking at people saying, don't do this, then do this, don't do that. And so
Right.
your take on that.
It's a little tough because there are certain things that are not alkaline or native plants, I should say.
Right.
Like cacao is not a native plant.
Mm-hmm.
Beets are not native plants.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff that grows under the ground, with the exception of ginger, are not, are not alkaline. Ginger is the exception, and it has to be definitely organic ginger, not the big baby leg ginger that you see that comes from China.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Baby.
you know, beets are high in arsenic, and a lot of the things that are under the ground take in heavy metals that are from under the ground. Potatoes, beets, sweet potatoes, um, turnips, like all of these under the ground stuff were originally medicinal. Carrots aren't even real. It's Queen Anne's lace and the wild yam. Those are the two things that are put together to make the carrot. So things that are above the ground are preferable. So instead of potatoes, we use squash. Instead of turmeric, we use ginger, because turmeric is just kind of like a bastardized ginger. And so it's really that balance of life that Dr. Sebi was trying to encapsulate with the nutritional guide. Really, it started off as just least detrimental foods because he didn't put the original nutritional guide together. It was made by Ma'a and the community of people that used to cook. Because he basically had a community. It was like a study group. Like they used to study and help heal people and make the herbs and the compounds and stuff. And amongst themselves, they were like, look, y'all can't be eating, bacon and eggs and, these flour pancakes for breakfast and stuff. Y'all got to eat cleaner. So let's put together a cook. It was called the Dr. Sebi Cookbook. It probably still exists in the Who and What group. Mm-hmm. And the Dr. Sebi Cookbook had foods in it. They were recipes that you would eat on this diet while you took the compounds so that you would heal. And that's how the nutritional guide started, because that cookbook, he then took it and was like, all right, some of this stuff is hybrids. It's got to come off. They had like parsley and cilantro, and there was a lot of stuff on there that is no longer on the guide anymore that he eventually took off and refined it. And then he went to UCLA, their agricultural department, because UCLA has like the best agricultural study department in the whole country. So, and he was in California. So he went to UCLA, they went and they studied, and they sent foods to the labs, and they tried to figure out which ones were hybrids and which ones were alkaline. And that's how he basically whittled down to make the nutritional guide that we know today. At that time, the nutritional guide was basically it. Like if you came into the group and you were dealing with an illness, the first thing people would say is eat from the nutritional guide, drink a gallon of water.
Right.
That was it. That was all anybody knew. Eat from the nutritional guide, drink a gallon of water. That was the thing that people repeated to anyone who came in and had an illness. Eat from the nutritional guide, drink a gallon of water, call Dr. Sebi's office and get a package. And then you would call Dr. Sebi's office, and the people that were there weren't necessarily healers. The only healers at Dr. Sebi's office was Dr. Sebi and Pablo. Those were the only two, and they were hardly ever there. So when you called and someone answered the phone and you told them you had an illness, the first thing they would do is they would open this book. And they basically had a book with like all the illnesses and things that people were going through, and what compounds and what capsules or what tinctures or decoctions that you should take, what package you should take with eating from the nutritional guide and drinking the water. And that was basically it. That was like the whole thing. He wasn't necessarily teaching people how to, he never sold sea moss, like all of this sea moss selling now. Dr. Sebi never sold raw sea moss. It came in a powder, and it was his bromide plus with sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root powder. That was it. And so there's a lot of things that kind of turned into a trend that he never really dealt with when he was here. It was very bare bones. And so when people come into the alkaline community and they want to add vegan into it, it's a little tough, because veganism and the African biomineral balance, or alkaline, are very different. Dr. Sebi never called himself a vegan. He wasn't vegan.
Go
He
ahead
ate
and
fish.
explain the two. The two.
Yeah.
What's different between the vegan and the Afro biomineral, the alkaline? What's the difference?
The difference is that veganism is a animal activist movement.
Mm-hmm.
That's what veganism is. Veganism is not eating anything or wearing anything to do with animals. Dr. Sebi carried a leather bag. He wasn't necessarily an animal rights activist. He ate fish. He liked shrimp. His favorite cheese was Gouda. He liked snapper. These were things that, like, on occasion, he would eat. He fasted like all the time. A lot of times he just wouldn't even eat. He barely ate food. But when he did eat, he liked a little snapper. He may have a little rice. In his travels, depending on where he was, he may compromise and have a little of this or a little of that, but really small portions. That's why he was so small and was just always detoxing, because he himself grew up very sick, like at an early age on through. He had asthma. He was overweight. He had bad eyesight. He was dealing with impotency and a lot of different things. So he basically created a lifestyle for himself where he cleansed and detoxified all the time. Like, he would go on a tour, and I would, like, through videos and stuff, I would hear him talking. He'd be like, yeah, all I had was 3 Green Food Plus today. He'll take 3 capsules early in the morning, and it'd be like sometime, late afternoon, early evening, and he still hadn't eaten all day. And he was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to eat until tomorrow. So he would just do long periods without eating. Now, the difference is that veganism was started by a guy, man, why am I forgetting? Oh,
Donald
Donald
Watson.
Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Watson started veganism because he
I've been
went,
using your book. I've been
yeah.
yeah.
Donald Watson went to a farm, and
Mm-hmm.
he was really upset by the way that the animals were being treated. And he said, I'm going to swear off all animal products. That means honey, milk, anything that an animal had to do with, I'm going to swear all that off. And he started a movement called the vegan movement, which is still run by his wife and his daughter today. He ended up dying of some sort of complications due to dairy, which is weird because he supposedly didn't drink dairy. So that's what veganism is. It's an animal rights activist movement. Now, my family's from the Caribbean. Dr. Sebi's family is, from a Caribbean-esque tropical place.
Mm-hmm.
And in the places where we grow up, it's not about, animals. It's about auntie's diabetes, or, your mother's rheumatoid arthritis or something. It's not necessarily about the animals. It's about eating better in order to heal these illnesses.
Right.
So that was the perspective that he took. It was more, instead of animal rights activists, it was more human rights activists. And the reason we don't eat the animals is not because of the love of animals. It's because of the love of us and knowing that the animals don't do us any good. So, you know what I mean? But either way, the animal is safe. You know what I mean? So you could be an animal rights activist, or you could be a human rights activist.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are eating animals, just for different reasons. And that was his take.
You're on a good point right there. Speaking of meat animals, Gabby can kind of go ahead with that. Talk about that. We want to mention about.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me, well, what about if they get farm raised, or if they get, cleaner meats, eggs, things like that? They feel
Yeah.
as though it should be well to eat it, but why not meat is my question. Because I believe,
Well, the thing about it is not even so much like just don't eat meat. The thing about it is, Dr. Sebi's perspective came from healing. And the thing about healing is that if you're suffering from an illness that has to do with, well, most illness has to do with the digestive system anyway, and the digestive system and the lymphatic system. And if you're going to heal, you're going to have to stop eating. You're going to have to remove the foods that cause the heaviest load on your digestion are the foods that are going to need to be removed. And those are usually like meat, mucousy things like eggs, the sugars that bind you up, the flours and the starches that bind you up,
And all these
the
are mucus forming, right?
the carbohydrates,
A
the
lot of
mucus
people tell
forming stuff.
me, "Oh, I could do without the sugar. I could do without the dairy, but I'm gonna have to go back and get me some meat. I need me some chicken,
I need me something.
some
Fish. Add
Yeah,
something.
some
Something.
fish."
some
I'm like,
kind of
"You don't need it."
protein, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and there are, I mean, for people who do the blood type diet, there are blood types that are said to need animal protein, things like heme and the B12 and the B vitamins they say that you can't get from plants, which is weird because the animals get them from plants and they just concentrate them in the animal's body, and then you eat the animal for the concentration of it as opposed to just eating a regular diet of the plants like the animal does. That's the reason why the animal has it concentrated, because it's constantly eating those things. So if you constantly ate those things, you wouldn't need the animal in order to get the protein. But that kind of goes over a lot of people's head, and there's scientific explanations for both sides of the argument. So that argument just keeps going back and forth, where people are like, well, you're supposed to have eggs and it's the highest form of this and you get the most of that out of it. And so that's usually the argument. But the reason Dr. Sebi ate those things sometime, well, he didn't eat meat, but he mostly would eat like fish and rice and things like that, was because it wasn't necessarily about not eating those things and them killing you if you ate them occasionally. It was about people who were healing needing to remove all of that stuff from them because they had an accumulation, a cumulative mucus response to years and years and years of eating that way. And in order to get them healed, he would have to say, okay, you just got to stop all of that. And basically his philosophy was to create the environment of Usha Village wherever you were. So if you could create the environment of Usha Village at your home, that would be ideal. That meant using the nutritional guide, drinking a gallon of water, taking the herbs, getting some sweat in like a sauna or something, getting a little bit of exercise and getting a lot of rest. But you can't do that. That's what the eclectics did. They would come to your home with a briefcase and their little tonics and some devices to help you with hydrotherapy and that kind of stuff. And they would say, stay in bed rest, eat these things, take this and call me in the morning. And then they would leave. But medicine has changed from that. We can't really do that anymore. So he was like, you know what I need to do? I need to just build a village and have big gates and lock the gates so that you can't get out and go eat crap. And now you're locked in. So in the morning, they bring you anamu and some other bitter herbs. They bring you a flask of sea moss and they bring you like all your capsules. You take those in the morning. Then you get up and you go to the sauna and you sweat for like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. You go back to your room, you take a shower, then you head to the cafeteria, to the kitchen, and you'll get more herbs, more bitter teas, some fruit, and then like maybe a carb, which would be like a fried chickpea fritter. That was like the only fried carby thing that you would get. It's like chickpea fritters and maybe a little bit of quinoa and a whole bunch of like fruit and that kind of stuff. Then you would leave there and you would either go for a hike or go do yoga or go write in your journal or something, or go to the springs, to the thermal waters. You soak in the thermal waters, then you go back, you take a shower, you go back to eat again. And the last meal was at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And that was it. You could probably get yourself some fruit and a couple of miscellaneous pieces of some food. And that was it. That was all you got. And they would make you stay there. You would be at Usha Village. You would want to do Usha Village for a couple of weeks. The first week that you were there, he didn't even give you any compounds. He would just be like, compounds ain't going to really work. You came here, you're still filled with butter and chicken and eggs and fish and all of that stuff. You're going to need to clear all of that stuff out first before I even start giving you the compounds. So you would sweat in the sauna, you would drink your sea moss, you would have your fruit, And then like a weekend, they'd start giving you the compounds. And a week or two of that, by the time you left there, you done lost 12 or 13 pounds. Your skin is clear, like everything is just better. And you would, people would leave there healed. And that's the method. That would be the method for you to create. That's what we tried to create at home, where it's like, okay, get a sauna, do a little exercise, eat this in the morning, do your elixirs in the morning, do your sea moss, do your capsules, and just try to stay clean for the entire day. Don't eat until this time, or, so it was basically trying to create the environment of Usha Village. Anywhere that you are is basically Dr. Sebi's formula.
You wanted to say
What
something?
about, okay, see, because
You want to go back to the she want to go back to the protein.
you brought up, people like, oh, you need your protein. I get that a lot, like
Yeah.
very frequently. And I try to explain, I eat walnuts, I eat chickpeas, I eat these things that has protein, but it's still going over their head that
Right.
you need meat.
Right.
So, can you explain that we don't necessarily need it. We're not saying that they shouldn't eat it, but I don't need it because I have protein in other things.
Right. And it keeps you feeling clear and clean.
Right. But the other things
And
make you feel foggy and bloated.
right. Because you have to now digest, flesh. And it takes a lot to break that down. And I think that there's different philosophies, because there's people who eat meat and they look lean and, and clean or whatever. I don't know what's going on inside them. I can't necessarily tell, but a lot of the people who are like on the quote unquote carnivore diet, there's no way that that's good, because just the residual residue from those foods stays in the body for a longer period of time than the food does. Even when the food passes out, you still got residue from steaks, like people like their things medium rare. They love, people love bacon, and they want they want their eggs runny. Like these are things that kind of go against the natural order of things.
Yeah, I remember you talking about stuff that are still in you. I remember you brought something up in a video or something. I don't know if you told it to me or it was another when you had y'all was eating sushi and you went and did a cleanse or something and you realized you hadn't eaten all these years.
Yes.
What it was?
It was black rice.
Black rice.
It was black rice, and it was a vegan sushi spot that we used to go to, and they would wrap things in seaweed, and they made certain things flavored of that ocean flavor, so it tasted like you were eating sushi. Everything was in rolls and wraps, and whenever they had the seaweed paper on the outside, it was good, or they have like the black rice on the outside. So I'm thinking black rice is better than white rice, right?
Right.
Black rice is just as fake as white rice, and it's not even black rice is not even a real. It's not even real. It's not even a real rice. And I didn't even know whether or not that rice was because we had all now you get all of these things about plastic rice coming from China and stuff like that. But I mean, I didn't know. I was like, this is great.
Right.
And we would go there. Yeah, we would go. It was delicious. We would go there like 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And
that was your spot.
Yeah, it was great. That was the spot, and it was in Manhattan. So parking was crazy. I got tickets sometimes. I remember I got like an $80 ticket. I was like, this meal is expensive.
Wow.
And so the signs were weird. It was like, you can park here between this hour and this hour, and then there's no parking between this hour and this hour, and then you can park here again between this hour and this hour. So it was like you standing there staring at the sign trying to figure out, can I park here right now or can I not? And then you just get exhausted and you're like, you know what? I think we can park here. It looks pretty good. Let's go eat. You come back, you got this fat ticket on your car, and you're like, man, this meal was expensive. But anyway, 2-3 times a week we would go there. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we were locked in. We were living in New Jersey at the time. And we had a friend that owned a detox center in Astoria, but she had a home upstate. And in the home upstate, she used to do retreats there too. It was a big house with multiple floors. She had a basement, saunas, the vibrating machines, and she did colonics, and she had the foot baths that take the metals out of your feet, and she had everything there.
Mhm.
And I wasn't necessarily into colonics, but I was like, we're gonna go up there. You're there. Let's do a retreat and clean out. So by the time COVID's over, we're like all clean and everything. And I went up there and I let her do a colonic, and she was massaging my stomach, and they had like the tube so that when your poop comes out, you could see like what was in your system. And she was massaging, and she was like, "You got some kind of a blockage." And I had like a lump on the side of my
Really?
side that when she was massaging, I could feel it. I was like, "I don't know what that is." And she was like, "Yeah, me either." She was rubbing it, and all of a sudden she just went woof, and something just moved, something shifted,
Wow.
and that whole tube was just filled up with all these little black speckles just coming out, these little black rice just coming out, coming out, coming out. And I was like, "What was that?" And she was like, "I don't know. You tell me. What were you eating?" And I was like, "You know what that looks like? The only thing I could think of is that black rice from the sushi that we was eating, but that was months ago, and we haven't been there in months." And so it was lodged in there. And she was like, "Yeah, you still got a little bit over here." And she was massaging, and all of a sudden another woof, another shift, and more of it started coming out. And I was like, "Oh, this is crazy." Never eating there again. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never doing that again." And all this black rice was just coming out until all of it was gone and all of it was out. And I felt like $1,000,000. We never ate black rice again.
We're from New Orleans, right?
I love New Orleans.
Oh my
I went
God.
to New Orleans once, and I completely fell in love with that place. I was walking around like this. I was in every bookstore. I
Wow.
was looking at all the architecture. I was taking
Yeah.
pictures of stuff. I must have looked like a complete geek. People was looking at me like, "Man, what are you doing?" I was like, "Hold on a second. I need to get this architecture. Let's go to this next bookstore." I was in like 8 bookstores. It's like, "Yo, let's go into this one. Let's go into this one. Let's go into this one." Reading all the history and like, witches, and like I'm into all kinds of eerie stuff. So I was reading anything I can get my hands on. But yeah,
Right.
I fell in love with New Orleans.
Well, I love that you loved it.
Yeah, I
But,
loved it.
we grew up on a few, foods.
Mhm.
So one in particular, people stay telling me because we're chickpeas, right? People,
Yeah.
you can eat red beans. Ain't nothing wrong with red beans because that's red New Orleans right there.
Yeah, right,
And another
right.
thing is pecans. They love it. Well, we say pecans.
Mhm.
I actually know this vegan chef, and I'm trying to get him to do some alkaline food. Like,
Yeah.
sir, please. And he like, well, tell me this. What's wrong with pecans? And I'm like,
Mhm.
it's the pH, sir. The
Yeah.
pH. He
Yeah.
was like,
They're
I don't.
acidic.
He's like, it's not registering.
I think
Right.
many people think when they see vegetables or see things on trees,
Right.
they automatically thinking nothing should be
They're
wrong.
like,
Healthy.
that's native to our history.
Right.
And
Right.
it's out of order.
Yeah. A lot of times it's not. It's like Gregor Mendel. He's like the father of beans. There were no beans before Gregor Mendel.
Get
He
out.
was the guy. He's the guy who came up with beans. So all of the different beans, the red beans, the white beans, the kidney beans, the lima beans,
Wow.
all the beans. Like he came up with all the beans. If you look up Gregor Mendel, he
Okay.
was a botanist, and he's the guy who came up with the beans. The only real bean is the garbanzo bean or chickpea. It's a bean and a pea. That's kind of the only ones. And if you see the way that it grows on a vine, and they
Yeah.
pop corn on the sides of
Yeah.
a vine, and they're covered in a little green pod, and you got to pop them out. And
Mhm.
those are real beans. The
Right.
beans that he grew are extremely starchy. That's why when you squeeze them, it's like potato on the inside.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, there's no crunch, there's no snap,
Right. Right.
there's no click to it. It's just mush. It's just mush.
Mhm.
So they're just all starch, and starch turns into sugar, and sugar goes to the liver. The liver gets overloaded, and the liver it doesn't communicate with it doesn't communicate with the pancreas as good. And things get mucked up and gummed up, and it goes into the villi and microvilli of the small intestines and the large intestines. Doesn't digest that well, and when it comes out, it's sliding along the sides because there's nothing to grip. It's not fibrous in that way where it's able to be gripped and slid through. So things that are mushy and starchy, don't digest well for that reason. They don't have any friction to get it to push through. So your bowels and your digestive system is doing this, but it's like doing this to mashed potatoes. You know what I mean? It's not squeezing it out. You're still gonna have some stuck in everything because it's doing this, but it's not like, so like things like quinoa or chickpeas or wild rice. You see the fibrous friction.
Right.
That's gonna come out a lot easier
Right.
than starch.
Hey y'all, it's Brielle. Focus and Free is ready for you to download on all musical platforms. Go add the Sound of Freedom to your playlist today. All right, let's get back to the video.
So speaking of chickpeas and stuff, I know we talked about this. I know you recommend a food test. So everything that's on the list, can people get sensitive of food or allergic to food that is alkaline or less detrimental?
Absolutely. That was like the next level of it, because Dr. Sebi did healing. He did revolutionize the nutritional guide for people so that the compounds would work at their best. But what he didn't get to do is Dr. Sebi never created a lifestyle. It wasn't a lifestyle. People would eat from the nutritional guide and say, "Oh, I only eat from the nutritional guide." But he didn't necessarily design the nutritional guide for something for people to eat all day, every single day. It was mainly to heal and so that the compounds would work. So he didn't get to develop a lifestyle out of it. It was the rest of us who kind of did that. People like myself, Ty's Conscious Kitchen, and Atum Dre, rest in peace, who just passed away recently. And Atum Dre used to travel with Dr. Sebi, and he was the first person that Dr. Sebi ever like co-signed, gave his blessing to, because Atum Dre used to make these alkaline vegan patties, burger patties, chicken patties, and those kinds of things. And he had investors lined up and everything. And Dr. Sebi basically gave him his blessing so that he could have the first Dr. Sebi approved food on the market. All of that kind of fell through. I don't know what happened, why he never came out with his burger patties or what happened with that. He's since has passed away, like maybe a couple of months ago now. But he was the first, and he traveled with Dr. Sebi and would basically cook for Dr. Sebi on the road. Ty's Conscious Kitchen came along, and at first he was just a guy showing people how to use the bromide plus powder and scrape it off the sides of the inside of the blender so that you wouldn't waste your money with it or whatever. He would just have on a t-shirt, and he had his, blender on top of like a refrigerator or a cabinet showing people how to do it. And then eventually he morphed into, him and his wife, Ty's Conscious Kitchen, where he had his chef jacket on, and he would show you the various recipes. Really good, great, informative stuff. I was doing it a long time, even before that. Before we even had the restaurant, I was shooting videos like that, like quinoa and stuff like that. You probably can find them on YouTube, with me looking a little chubby, trying to show people how to make quinoa. So we were the three that I knew of at that time. We were the three people that were trying to make it so that you could have these dishes that you could make every single day and kind of turn it into a lifestyle. So he never really had like a lifestyle about it. And so what we did is we kind of took it to the next level, because after Kelly got sick, we had her take a food sensitivity test. But it was by this place that we probably wouldn't trust today. But it was by this place where they send you a little, what is it? Not 23andMe. Wellnicity. That's what it was called. Wellnicity. And they send you a box, and it has these little test kits in it. It was a sheet with some circles on it, and they gave you a prick, and you had to prick your finger, and the blood, you would take the blood and you would put it in each of the dots on the card, and then you slide the card into something and you mail it off, and then they send you back your results. And it was for something like 200 and something, 300 foods that you would be, whether you had a sensitivity or an allergy to. And at the time, it wasn't even a sensitivity, it was a food allergy test. And an allergy and a sensitivity are very different. We talked about that before. And so when that happened, we were like, you know what? I wonder, is there a way that we could get a deal with a lab and start getting food sensitivity tests, so that, because if people would, do a food sensitivity test, then you can tell what on the nutritional guide, they should have and shouldn't have.
Right.
And once we thought about that, we were like, oh, wow, we need to do that. And we started doing it. We found a lab and we started issuing food sensitivity tests with a hair sample so that people wouldn't have to, it would be non-invasive. You didn't have to stick your finger. You didn't have to send your blood and your DNA off to nobody or nothing like that, because that's a little sketchy. And it worked out really well because we find that there's a lot of things on the nutritional guide that we've been telling people, just eat from the nutritional guide, drink a gallon of water and get your compounds. And there's things on there that people would have an adverse reaction to, or a temporary adverse reaction to, where once they, cleansed and rebalanced their gut flora and gut microbiome, that they could possibly reintroduce those foods again after they cleared their gut up. So that was kind of the next level that Dr. Sebi didn't actually get to before he passed away.
Do you think it's imperative or beneficial to take herbs and fast and detox consistently or daily, or as a routine or something like that?
I do. I think every quarter, some people should do, whatever's comfortable for them. I would say a week, 7-day fast.
Right.
Once a quarter, every 3 months or so.
Herbs people should use for a daily, continue herbs.
Definitely burdock root, because it's so high in all of the trace minerals that you would need. It has a little bit of everything. So that's that's kind of like a staple herb. That's kind of like a foundational herb because it's got all of the minerals in it. Sea moss, because it's high in your calcium and it's good for the lymphatic system. That's good for the bones, the eyes, the teeth, the hair. And it also has a lot of minerals in it, but sea moss is not high in iron. So the burdock is high in iron, sea moss is not. The two of those together are really good. So if you're taking that's why we did cell support capsules. The cell support has the Condus crispus in it. It has the burdock in it. It has bladderwrack in it. It has nettle and watercress, which is also high in iron and a whole bunch of other minerals. In terms of another herb to take daily, depending on what your diet is like, I would say like a linden flower or mullein, only because those break up mucus. And so once the body is accumulating mucus by many different forms, it could be from food, it could be from agricultural contaminants, it could be from the air that you breathe, it could be from stress. You can be building up mucoid plaque as a defensive response that the body has to certain things, whether that be medication so there's a number of different reasons why mucus in the body or the lymphatic system would break down as a defensive response to something. And in order to clear that mucus out, you got to get the lymphatic system moving. You got to hydrate a lot, and you should be having some sort of a mucus breaking substance like a mullein or a or linden flower.
Yeah, we don't want to take up much. We have a few. The other part was what items, because I have a few items that you have recommended, and I have the jump rope. What's the jump rope called? That
cross rope.
Yeah, the cross rope.
Yes. That's the one. That's the 1 pounder.
No, this 2 pounds. Right?
Oh, that's the 2. The other one, the other one is the gray one is the 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do 50 on the cross rope.
Yeah, I do the 2 pounder, that one, and the gray one, the 1 pounder.
Yeah, the cross rope. Also, we have you told me about the Hot Logic, where you can use to heat up your food. I actually got the big one too.
Oh, good.
Well, we actually, like, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, when we did our alkaline food, we actually used the Hot Logic as well. And I know the biggest thing it was this right here.
What's that?
That's the wash.
The wash.
Oh, Renovera. Yes.
I want you to explain the wash, because a lot of people
thing.
use they say, "Oh, I wash my food." Why is this better than the rest of the wash?
That's better because it is made of it's so brilliant. I wish I would have came up with it. I always say that too. It's made of ground powdered seashells. So it's pure calcium from the ocean. When you put that in the water and mix it around and you put say strawberries in there, it actually goes into the strawberries and takes out the agricultural contaminants by
Right.
like 98%. Like I don't know if you notice, but
Mhm.
you should try this. And this is what I used to do. Like if I'm at the supermarket or whatever, and I see like blackberries or something, what I would do is I want to know if that batch of blackberries is sweet. So I would taste one. And when you
Mm.
taste a berry at the supermarket before it's been washed or anything, you taste like a medicinal, agricultural, pesticide flavor. It's like it
Mm.
tastes like a medicine flavor to it.
Mhm.
Right.
When you rinse them in that Renovera and you let them soak in there for like 10, 15 minutes, you see everything float to the top, and then you rinse it all off and you taste that berry, then it's like it's like a completely different, you
Yes.
get all the berryness flavor.
The
Very
berryness, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
like wow, this is real berry. Like I can't even think of it's so berryish that like it just makes everything taste better. And you can tell that baking soda and vinegar do not do that.
Mm.
And baking soda and vinegar, when you put them together, one's acid, one's alkaline, they fizz and cancel each other out. You're not doing anything.
And this is
So if
another
you're going to
one.
use baking soda, use baking soda. If you're going to use vinegar, but don't use both.
separately.
Right. There's another
Yeah.
one that you told me about to recommend that we have is also the Alkinator. The
Yes.
Alkinator. Why is the Alkinator is better? Because a lot of people say I use
They use filtered water.
water and stuff, but why is this one is recommended? And also we got
That
the
one
other one too as well.
That one is better because it's a charcoal filter, but it's coconut charcoal. So they
Mhm.
basically burned coconut shells in order to make the charcoal. And in doing so, it removes fluoride, um, chlorine, agricultural contaminants, pesticides, heavy metals, microplastics, and it infuses the water with 18 milligrams of plant source magnesium per liter because of the coconut. So the coconut is your natural plant source magnesium, and with the water running through that is 18 milligrams of magnesium per liter of water because of the filter that it uses. So most filters won't take out both chlorine and fluoride. They'll either take out fluoride or they'll take out chlorine.
Oh wow.
And if they
Mm.
take out both, there's something else that they're not taking out. Because I've like compared it. I read them all, and they'll all tell you, oh, this one takes out fluoride, but not chlorine. This one takes out chlorine, but not fluoride. Because in the US, the municipalities do not want you to remove all of those things. They put them in there for a reason. So they don't want you to remove them. So they regulate the filter companies so that they can only remove certain things. That filter is they're manufactured in Spain and their corporate offices in Canada. So both of the companies, the manufacturer and the distributor, aren't US based, so they're not like held to the same, manufacturing laws. They can sell them here, but the one they cannot sell here is the one that does that goes underneath the sink. They
Right.
can only sell above the sink. They can't sell the under the sink one in this country.
What should you think we should do in our everyday lifestyle, basically for people that's
Considering.
considering doing this alkaline journey or already new to it? What you think they should continue or consistently do in this lifestyle? Any point?
They should use the nutritional guide to go into the supermarket and go to the produce section and get as much diverse produce as possible and practice steaming, baking, boiling, um, chopping things up, mixing things together. I mean, like explore squashes because there's so many of them. And people usually, people that want starch and they want like carby stuff,
Mhm.
you can replace all of those with the different squashes. There's so many: kabocha squash and butternut squash and zucchinis and acorn and
Mhm.
spaghetti, and all of the squashes are fantastic.
Can I pause you real quick?
Yeah.
The part speaking of squashes, I want to say this because you told me about squashes when you was helping me on my journey. You was telling me about
Mhm.
squashes. I know I was doing we eat a lot of quinoa and chickpeas, and I
Yeah.
know we haven't most times we're gonna put green squashes, and I know you tell us about melons. Okay, and and melons. Uh, and I know you told me squashes and melons a lot.
Yeah.
Squashes and different melons. I
Yeah.
want to know if people just eating grains and don't
Uh-huh.
eat the veggies, the squashes, the melons, are you
Yeah.
really getting the nutrition that you need? That's all I wanted to say.
Just grains without the squashes?
Like you just eating quinoa and
We
chickpeas.
eat quinoa and chickpeas a lot.
And
Well, no, you're getting a lot because
look,
quinoa
'cause I know a lot of
has
people say
basically
eat your
quinoa has like what they call amino acids. Quinoa has all of them.
okay.
So
Because
the
I know people say
Aztecs,
get that leafy green. I know people say make sure you have a lot of dark leafy greens a lot.
yeah, you definitely want to get some chlorophyll in. Chlorophyll is really great for the blood. But quinoa has almost everything that you need because that it's called
So we're not that far off
Not
that.
that bad.
it's called I'm gonna say this wrong. It's called
It's okay. You don't have to.
it's like Chiacito Mama. It's a
All
it's a
right.
span
Oh, my
it's
mom.
a it's a Spanish name called the
Okay.
mother of all grains,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
The mother of all grains is quinoa, and the Aztecs
Oh,
and
I
the
thought it was
Mayans
fonio.
ate that. They ate that before battle. So before they would go to war with another tribe or go into battle, they would eat that, and it gave them immense strength
Oh, okay.
because it
I thought it
has
was
all of
fonio.
what they call amino acids in it.
You heard me? I thought it was fonio.
Fonio too.
Okay.
Fonio too. But
Okay.
the mother of all grains is quinoa and actually no, teff is the smallest grain.
Hmm.
And fonio is another powerful grain that the Aztecs, Mayans, and the Olmecs used to eat.
What to tell people who wants to like, I know this is your career, like who wants to go into like maybe like wants to be a chef,
Herbalist.
alkaline chef, or maybe a coach or a herbalist, or because we have some people that watches us where older or young people like they want to get into it and say, you know what, as they learn into get to this journey and say, oh, I want to make this a career, I want to help other people. What you how do basically what you would tell them advice, give them advice to tell them if they
I
want
would say it depends on what area they want to go into. If they
to.
want to go into um, whatever it is that they want to do, they should find a baseline training or class. So if you want to be a herbalist, I would say take a herbalist class
Mhm.
and take everything that they do to heart, but then take on the philosophy of the eclectics. Well, actually, no, beyond the eclectics, because the eclectics were using hybrids. But what you would want to do is you want to learn the base of it first, and then take it to the African biomineral balance by getting rid of the hybrids if you're doing herbs. And if you're doing food, I would say go to a culinary class, take a cutting 101, take bread making class, take all of the classes that you would want to as a chef, but then be able to take the nutritional guide and adopt the techniques that you've learned and apply those to different foods.
I'm an educator, and we know we see most students, kids goes through autism, ADHD.
Yeah,
A lot of people think, Scholars was born. I say scholars a lot because we say that in in school. Most of the kids born that way happen, and I want your take on that. How because I know there's a solution. You can heal from ADHD, autism, and I want you to like explain any advice of guys that's going through ADHD or autism, uh, what they should not be eating, what they should be taking.
yeah.
Your advice on that.
I would say for ADHD that they've got to stay away from the sugar, number one.
Hmm.
And a lot of the processed foods, the food colorings, the additives, the preservatives, because being in Brooklyn, I mean, it's the hood. And I mean, I know you got the hood in Louisiana too. You probably got the corner store. I mean, I went to corner stores when I was
Yeah,
there.
corner store.
And in Brooklyn, the kids in the morning, you can't even get in the corner store in the morning because all of the kids are at the register
Mm.
all the way back either to the back of the store and sometimes coming out the door. There's a long line of kids and all of them have snacks in their hands. They got their backpacks on, so they're not even close. The line is long because they got these big backpacks that keep each other like 2 feet, 3 feet away from each other. The line is long and they all have chips, them things called big burgers that they get out of the freezer that they can take and put in the microwave when they get to school, or they heat them up right there and they eat them on the way to school. They've got the Twizzlers, the candy, the Arizona iced teas in the big can. They got like all of this stuff, and that is what's leading to the behavioral downfall of a lot of the kids. They can't pay attention because they got all these chemicals in their body. And that's mainly what ADHD is. It's not necessarily an illness that the kid has. It's diet and lifestyle that's doing that. In terms of autism, I believe that what a lot of children that have autism aren't getting is enough glutathione to the brain. And that's what that whole controversy was with acetaminophen and the Tylenol. They were saying the Tylenol was, causing autism. And there's a whole big political argument on both sides of that. And I'm not on either side of it, but the whole thing of it preventing glutathione from reaching the brain of a child, that's the part that I find significant, because I think that glutathione is important. It is produced in the body endogenously. And I think that if you're not able to produce glutathione and get it to the brain, there's going to be cognitive issues. And I think that glutathione is very, very important, and that parents should figure out how to help their child's body produce as much glutathione as possible. And you can do that through clean diet and lifestyle.
I really appreciate everything that you said.
And I've even seen where, people say that vaccines and so forth have contribute to autism. I don't know that for sure. I can't tell because I'm not a doctor, and I wouldn't want to pretend to know that and get in an argument with someone who knows more about that than I do. But what I do know is that if that substance is preventing glutathione from getting to the brain, it's a problem. So the glutathione, that's where it stands for me, where autism is concerned.
I thank you so much for coming on here. It's been great. I don't know, Gabby, you had any other questions?
I did, but I mean,
you wanted to mention about the.
Let me just say one more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Spring water, purified water, water in general. Why spring water?
Dr. Sebi's philosophy behind spring water is because it had its minerals intact. And he wanted people to drink water that had a mineral content, as opposed to purified water or reverse osmosis water, which the minerals are removed from it. Reverse osmosis water is only good if the heat for the reverse osmosis is high enough. If it's not high enough, and it's not necessarily purifying the water and you're just drinking whatever's in it. A cheap reverse osmosis system is not necessarily going to give you really a high quality cleansed water. And the mineral content in spring water, like at the time when he was alive, it was mostly Crystal Geyser and a couple of other springs, Mountain Valley. There's a few others that, because they're from a spring, have their minerals intact in them. But that has changed a lot because there's been a lot of co-opting of other companies buying out these other water companies and changing things around. Perrier used to be one thing, and now they just put a powder in there for the carbonation. Crystal Geyser was pure, and now they've got like heavy metals and contaminants and stuff. Even Mountain Valley water in the glass bottle, they've been said to have contaminants and so forth. And that was the reason why I switched to using the Alkinator. I was buying like 12 to 15 gallons of the equivalent of Crystal Geyser water every week, because I would cook with it, we would drink with it, I would keep it in storage in case of a storm or whatever. I have gallons in the garage or what have you. Microplastics was something that was just weighing heavy on my mind because we were just using all these plastic over and over and over again. And so I went with the Alkinator, removes the microplastics, the chlorine, the fluoride, the agricultural contaminants, the heavy metals, and infuses it with magnesium, which are minerals.
They have a bottle of water of Alkinator? Oh, you talking about you use the pitcher?
He used the pitcher.
Yeah, I use the Alkinator, and I fill the Alkinator, and when it's full, then I transfer it into a glass pitcher.
And you just buy the filters?
I just buy the filters. Well, I'm a brand ambassador, so they send them to me for free. But I use the filters. I have the zeolite filter, the regular filter, and the low magnesium filter, which I haven't started using yet because I don't want low magnesium. I guess some people have an adverse reaction to high magnesium, so they came out with a low magnesium. And then the zeolite is a clay that binds chemicals and removes them from the water and also from your body.
A lot of another thing, some people believe that if you boil water long enough, it's good to drink, like faucet water.
Well, in boiling the water, what you're doing is you're concentrating the contaminants in the water because the water is evaporating and the contaminants just stay. They don't necessarily evaporate with it. So, like if you boil water and you look, once the water gets down a little level, you could see like a white ring around the pot. That's
Mhm.
calcium, and it's just
Mhm.
concentrating. And calcium is what it gets stuck on your teeth. It what gets in between bones that make bones hurt. Calcified mucus in the bones. Um, so yeah, no, boiling water is not necessarily the best if it's not clean already. The boiling it is not what's going to clean it. So I boil water in the kettle, but the water comes out of the alkanator. So the kettle is always like super clean. I've never seen any buildup happen in the kettle because it comes out of the alkanator first.
Amazing. One last thing.
Sure.
Um, a lot of people that talk to me aren't necessarily sick people. They
Mhm.
just want to lose weight because that's what I did it for, and I stayed on it because
Right.
I stayed on it because I like the way my body appreciated it.
Mhm.
So I'm like, wow, I feel different. So a lot of people are like, girl, you looking good. What you
You
doing?
be going to work in them outfits. I seen your little they like, I want to look like her.
Right. And they're like, what you doing? And I tell them what I'm doing, and they feel like it's a bit much. But you said alkaline was really made for the healing, but they don't really care about the healing. But
Right.
I want you to explain how if you do alkaline, you won't, I'm not gonna say you won't get sick, but it's better because you won't, it's just a better way so you don't
It, it,
really
it it's
prevent.
it's I think yes, it's preventative. It's
Yeah,
preventative, and it is. Am I making up a word here? It is non it is non accumulative. So
Mhm.
you're
mm,
not accumulating
Mhm.
toxins constantly. Whereas if there's people who eat relatively healthy, but every week they're doing bottomless mimosas, they're doing lemon pepper wings, they're doing Sunday brunch, they doing, you know what I mean? And it's like
mm,
even once a week is consistent. You know what I mean? Even once a week is a frequency. So
right.
by the time you get to, let's say Monday goes and through Friday, and then come Saturday, you go and you're having, Saturday brunch, and you have a whole bunch of stuff you drinking, I don't know, mimosas or whatever people are into these days. That's going to cycle out by, if that's Saturday, that's not going to cycle out until about maybe Wednesday, Thursday. And then you may have like a day or two of kind of almost cleaning out the residuals, and then you're going to do it again. And so it's going to be cumulative.
Right.
Even though you're only doing it once a week, it's still a frequency. It's still frequent. So that's why I say every 3 months, every quarter or so, you should do a cleanse. Some people cleanse 1 week every month.
Mm,
Where they every month they choose 7 days where they're only doing liquids.
Mhm.
And we do that sometimes. Sometimes we'll go like a couple of weeks where everything we eat is either soup, juice, smoothie, or tea.
yeah.
That's
And
actually kind of what we're doing right now. We just created something called the Rapid Reset 7-day detox, and it is a detox for uh, about 4 detoxification pathways all at once. There's the lymphatic capsules. There's a detox tea. There's the gut support. There's glutathione patches from LifeWave, and there's the X39 patches from LifeWave. So you're doing stem cell activation. You're doing glutathione, which is detoxification and immune boosting. You're doing the lymphatic capsules, which cleanses out the lymphatic system. You're doing the gut support capsules, which cleans out the digestive system, and you're doing the detox tea, which is like cleanses the blood. So you're cleansing like 4 or 5 detox pathways all at once, and then for that week, you're only doing liquids, juices, soups, smoothies, and teas. You
Mm,
Mhm.
stick on that for 7 days. By the seventh day, you're gonna feel like $1,000,000.
wow.
Mhm.
I gotta try that one.
What is your typical schedule like for a day?
For the day, I'm up at 3:30,
Mm-hmm.
3:30. If I'm up at 4, I'm late.
Mm.
So yeah, 4 is late for me. 3, my alarm goes off at 3, and I'll probably snooze until 3:30. And
Mm.
then I'm up. The first thing I do is feed the cat. I make some tea. I
Mm-hmm.
make it's
So what's the
ginger,
okay, Delaware.
lime,
Mm-hmm.
ki- um, African bird pepper.
Your
Uh,
elixir.
yeah, the
That's
elixir. And
yeah.
I may throw like a couple of cloves and
Oh.
a couple of a couple of little sprigs of some other kind of herb in there. I just kind of do random stuff, but the base is always ginger, lime, and African bird pepper. Fennel. I throw a couple fennel seeds in there and a couple of clove seeds in there, and I let that steep. I pour myself a cup. I pour her a cup. She goes to the massage chair to do a massage. I do my jump rope, push-ups, and she's got a rebounder. I've been doing that a little bit, but that's tough. It's tough. Like you
Mm-hmm.
think just jumping up and down on a rebounder on a mini tramp is easy. It's 10 minutes on the rebounder is equivalent to 30 minutes running on the treadmill. I would rather run on the
What?
treadmill. Yeah.
Mm.
I would rather run on the treadmill because I'll just do sprints. But that jumping up on down on the rebounder, I'd be looking at the clock like, man, it ain't even been 5 minutes yet. She's like, stop looking at the clock. Just put on some music and then just, vibe to the music. But I can't. I'm like, how long do I got to do this? I'm ready to get off. So anyway, I do that. And then she comes out and she goes into another room and she does yoga. And when she gets off of the massage chair, I do the massage chair. And then we meet. Then we meet at the sauna. We got these 2 sauna tents, and we sit in the sauna. And we either watch the news or talk about whatever for the day. We sweat for like 15, 20 minutes.
And what's the
Both
purpose
hit the
of
shower, and then we go for our 2-mile walk, and
what's the
we're
purpose
back
for
by 11.
what's the purpose for the sauna?
The lymphatic system to sweat
Mhm.
toxins out. So
Mhm.
when I get on I'll do my jump rope, and then I go get in the massage chair, and that kind of breaks things up. And then I go get in the sauna, and whatever you break up with jumping up and down and doing a massage comes out of your skin in the sauna.
Mhm.
So you break the lymphatic system up, and then you drain it when you sweat. Then I
Boom.
jump in the shower, and then we go for a 2-mile walk, and then we come back and start the day.
When you start like eating like a meal or something, or when you start eat
The earliest 11:30, the
mhm.
latest about 12 noon. And it's usually something kind of
So
small,
basically like you
not
don't
much.
intermit what is it called?
What's the name?
Intermittent fasting.
Inter-
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Not eating until, so the last meal should be either 7 or before 7. And
Mhm.
then the first meal the next day is like 11:30 noon.
Because we're supposed to be resting our digestive system, our
Yeah.
body.
Yes.
Not eating first thing in the morning, you're waking up eating pancakes, eggs, and sausages and bacon and
Right.
grits and all
Oh,
that.
man, I don't even know how that started. I don't even know. I don't even know who came up with that. Like I always say, breakfast is not the name of a meal. It's an action that you take in relation to fasting. It's
Mm,
break fast,
come
not
on.
breakfast.
Right.
People are like, I'm gonna have breakfast. It's like, you mean break fast? Why would you break your fast with sausage and eggs? Like, that's the first thing in. Like, you're breaking the fast. So the stomach is like, please give me something, and you're gonna drop some eggs and sausage on top of it. It's gonna be like, oh man, you give me all this work to do. I thought we was cool, like I thought we were friends. What you
Right.
doing?
I did I did in a video. I think I saw it today when you're like, if you feel like you need to eat something at night, just grab some berries and some
That's
water.
what. Yeah, I just did that the other day.
Yeah.
Yes, a handful of berries or two, and that's it. That's the only thing that I can think of as a late night snack. I caught flack for that too, because people are like, no, you're not supposed to eat nothing. Doctor uh, Doctor Delves something, the dude from Trinidad. I can't remember his name. Doctor Delves or whatever. He's a Rasta dude, and he always talks about like fasting and eating and stuff. And he says, no, you shouldn't eat anything, and if you do this, it's going to disrupt. But I'm from the school of, there's people that need our help. Like, you can't. The Sebian community is not a community of Sebians. Like you were saying, like, these are sick people.
Right.
They're not folks that's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to eat. You know, if you don't give them something, some berries or water or something, they're going to go to the fridge and grab a, you know, an Eggo waffle or something. You know what I mean? Like you got to give them something
Right.
that
Like
makes
I heard
sense.
somebody say this, like we know we cook the food and fix the food. Tell them because we was when we did this journey when we helping our family and friends, we didn't tell them go fast and stuff. Let them taste the food. Let them get the food. Let them know the food. Let them
Yeah.
enjoy it first. And we talk about the year. Let them like, oh, I'm
Right.
doing this journey.
Right.
You gotta
And
please them. You gotta bring them in. You know, you can't just
that's why I make that's what the recipes are
right,
all about. So you don't feel like you're missing something. It's like,
right.
oh, you mean I could have chili? I could have cornbread chili? Hold
Come on,
on a second. Oh,
come
I could
on,
have, you know what I mean? I could have chicken wings. Wait a minute. This
come
is
on.
just as good. I could do this. You know, you
Right.
want that. You want them to be like, I could do this. You know what? I could do
Right.
this. They're not going to be able to do that with you know,
Fast.
Right.
yeah, on a
It's
fast or some kind of
protein.
like, you know, vegetable fritter or not. You want to give them something that looks, tastes, and smells like something they're already used to.
Right.
Right.
I used to be an elitist. I used to be like, you shouldn't eat that. Stick to the nutritional guide, and you know, you shouldn't have any of that. Blah blah blah.
Mm.
Look, I know you're gonna have what you're gonna have. Try this. You know, you want a sweet potato pie? Use a kabacha squash.
And
You know,
what I like about you,
Kabacha squash.
yeah, what I like about you because when I came to you, because I went through, I'm not saying the heaters, I mean the people, the coaches that I had, nothing was wrong with what they were saying, but with you, it was I didn't felt overwhelmed when you told me this. It was like you was telling me why you got all this. You don't need well, I because they told me this and we like try this, just do this. You kind
hmm
of gave it was like it was like I had so much. You like you didn't need all that. You just do this. And what
yeah.
I like about you is certain things is like you don't need that
You're
for your
very cut,
but
clean,
you
to the point.
and then
Because the
what
thing
I love
about it is when people are live and are raised and born in certain environments,
about
that environment holds the plant life that would be best for you because of the environment that you're in. Your body gets accustomed to that environment. Those plants know what you're going to need in order to keep your body detoxified. So it's only a handful of plants that you're going to need. You need
right.
burdock. You're going to cleanse out. You need yellow dock and cascara sagrada. You're
Mhm.
going to need some sea moss, and you may need some sort of demulcent or something that breaks up mucus, like linden flower and mullein. And those are like some of the staples. Anything outside of that is kind of like extra for like blood cleansing or for, you know, deep detoxification or bile stimulation or something like that. But a lot of times you see people put herbs together that don't even belong with each other, like a detoxifier and an astringent should never go together. So you should never put like uh you should never put sage and cascara sagrada should never go together.
See, that's people have to learn too, because people
And
take
people just be like, oh,
put
it has
certain herbs,
15
put on
herbs
and drink it.
and it's gonna do all of this. And I'm like, 15 herbs? What herbs are, like how you know what is supposed let me hear what them herbs are. And I start listening to the
Right.
15 and okay, no, that shouldn't be in there, and
You're
that shouldn't be in there either. And those two shouldn't be together. What are you doing?
right.
That's why you feel like that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you feel sick. Like you're like, oh, I feel weird and this doesn't taste good. And it's like not a good experience. You need to be able to take something that you can put in everyday life, in your regular life, because you're not going to be able to go fast and write in your journal and go to the sauna and go to the spring waters and do a hike and do yoga. Like that's a retreat. That's not regular life. You got to be able to
Retreat.
incorporate that into your regular life. If you can incorporate that into your regular life, that's lifestyle. Anything else
Mhm.
is a retreat, a group cleanse, a group fast. Like those are offshoot things, and it doesn't necessarily jive with what your responsibilities that you have every day.
Awesome.
What I love about you, like from back to the beginning, is because a lot of people, anybody can give you knowledge, but everybody cannot be a teacher. And what I mean, I consider you as a teacher too, because what I learned as at my school, we teach anybody, it doesn't matter what zip code, no, it doesn't matter what zip code, doesn't matter what ethnicity, we able to teach all scholars high quality instruction. That's our mission, teaching all
Yeah,
scholars. So when you see these selective schools be saying they got an A plus because they got only selective scholars they can use, got to have a certain GPA to go to the schools.
right.
Well, can you teach and grow scholars that maybe 3 grades behind? Can you teach scholars that maybe 2 grades behind? That's a real teacher when they're able to teach scholars that understanding level maybe not where they're supposed to be at, and you can grow them. Maybe they might not be at mastery yet, but you grew
Right.
some,
Yeah.
got them where they need to be. That's a
Right.
real teacher, and that's what I like about you, that you really breaks it down and explain it,
You
and
meet us where we are.
you meet us where we are and get
I'm laughing because it took a while.
right.
In the beginning, I would have beat you over the head like, you ain't supposed to have that. What's wrong with you?
And the funny part about it is they have people in the community that's like
That
that,
do that,
that
yeah.
does
Yeah.
that you see
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, wait, and you have people say because you're not supposed to do it, and I'm like, wait,
Right.
explain to me. People's not gonna come to
They'd be like, you see
the
this?
lifestyle.
You guys eat this. This is garbage.
Right,
I don't
right,
talk like that.
right.
Like, this is
So
garbage. You're eating garbage when you eat this. You know
right,
what this is
and like
doing?
you're not
You
even
want
explaining
this,
to them
you want
why
your
it is.
candy, and you want your this, and you want your that, and you just
Right,
beating them down. It's like,
right.
hold on a
He's not
second. Like,
explaining
this is
why.
what people know.
Yeah,
You got to take what they know and just kind of try to, work with that. And
yes.
get them to move off of that for a reason, not
Mhm.
necessarily because you say it's garbage, but
And
because it's something.
that's why I say you like the Huxtable, the good times of the people. Like it's like your character, because people not gonna come to you because okay, you may have all the knowledge and all that kind of stuff, but it's about your character.
Right.
And if your how you present
present it.
yourself, and that's what I love about you, how you present yourself in a character. There's another person that I also enjoy too. They explains the why as well. Because most times, yeah, people say don't do this, don't do that, but he also explained why. His name is Econ.
Oh yeah. I know
I
you come.
love him. He explains
Mhm.
why this person don't consider themselves alkaline community, but I love her as well. She's very wholesome. Her name is Barbara O'Neill. Yep. You ever heard of
Her
her?
name sounds familiar. She sounds
She
familiar.
lives in Australia. She consider herself plant-based diet, but her very holistic, very wholesome. Love listens to her as well. But
Australia's great. Everything grows there.
look up. She's real good. She's really
I'll
um
look her up.
you probably if you see her face, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know who she is.
Probably.
Yeah. But that's basically it. You have anything
I'm
else?
good.
I'm good. Thank you. We could talk all day, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
could do this all day. I
right.
know. It was
Yeah. Coconut oil. What's up with
Mhm.
okay? We should not cook with coconut oil, right? But I see a lot of people bake with coconut oil. When y'all say cook, y'all talking about like on the stove, or y'all even talking about in the oven too? Because most time with baking, people use coconut oil.
Like
Well, coconut oil has cleansing and detoxifying properties that are very gentle. And when you cook it, you basically cook those out. That's probably the only thing that I would say degrades with heat. It has a high cook point, but it doesn't have a high nutrient retention point. So you can cook with it in terms it's not going to burn because it has a high cook point, but the nutrients that you would get from it will be gone, and it just turns into basically saturated fat. That was Dr. Sebi's problem with it. Not only the fact but the fact that it would solidify when it got colder. And people in Brooklyn and places like that, and places that get cold, they'll have something with coconut oil, and then they'll drink a iced tea with ice in it. And then so you've got the coconut oil that's melted, and then you're gonna put ice on top of it, and it's just gonna stiffen up. And then you got that inside of you. So he was like, he used to say, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you. Don't cook with your coconut oil, and don't have coconut oil in cold beverages. It's gonna hurt you. It's gonna bind you up.
Because
That was his take on it.
Because I know many people using coconut oil mostly for baking, like baking with desserts and stuff. And we're like,
the desserts are cold though.
Oh, most of the desserts, okay.
Like coconut oil for cold desserts, like cheesecakes and
Right.
things like that. Bars, so bars, things.
Mostly like raw applications. I would use it for raw applications.
The chips.
Oh, the tortillas? Yeah, we did.
We use coconut oil when we baked it in the oven.
Oh, the tortilla chips? Yeah.
Yeah.
We did coconut oil when we baked the chips, the tortilla chips. We did
I don't necessarily think that it's gonna hurt you in every application. And I think that his take on it was making things so simple to keep people just away from the getting lost in the details. Basically, he would try to keep people away from certain things because you notice he had spelt and kamut flour on there, but the mother of both of those is einkorn, but he never mentioned einkorn. Einkorn is the first flour, and then after einkorn is kamut, and then after kamut is spelt. So it's einkorn, kamut, and then spelt. Those are the three top ancient grains, and both of them come from einkorn. But he never mentioned einkorn because einkorn at the time when he was alive wasn't like really a thing. Like you couldn't find it all like that. But einkorn is the mother flour. But he never mentioned it. He started with spelt and kamut.
So that means we can utilize it if that's the mother.
And kamut is probably the best out of them all because kamut, the people who were in charge of the agriculture of kamut made it so that it's almost like patented organic. You can't have Coruscant kamut flour unless you can't even call it kamut unless it's organic. And that's why bugs will attack it. You got to make sure you keep it in airtight or else you get the little bugs that attack it. It's not that easy to find. You can't keep it out. Like bugs will love it. And it's the closest thing to like regular flour that makes like cakes and soft and that kind of stuff.
Do you garden? Garden.
A little, not where I'm at now, but my brother's got a whole backyard with he keeps chickens and he's got chickens and ducks and banana trees and coconut trees and herbs and basil. He's got sour sops and limes, lemons and mangoes. Yeah,
that's what we want to do. We want to start gardening, but we want to make sure we're doing the soil, everything right with the garden because I realized that going through this journey, the main thing is the soil. I just learned
the secret to nutrient-rich soil that'll basically grow everything is ashes. So if you put some bricks in a circle and start a little bonfire, if you have enough room anyway, you don't want to burn nothing down. But if you have a bonfire in your backyard and you burn things like, wood, tree leaves, branches, that kind of stuff, that ash, collect that ash and you put that in the soil, and that's the carbon that's going to grow whatever.
You know what?
You could throw an old boot in the soil and it'll grow. That's something will grow if you put ashes in your soil. So mix ash in with your soil. My brother's got a big bonfire. He's got these bricks laid around in a circle, and he just throws stuff in there. Old cartons of stuff, tree branches, leaves, wood, and just burns it and just starts a big fire. And then he comes along with a shovel and he takes that ash and puts it wherever he's going to grow stuff. He uses that as his fertilizer. Ashes and eggshells. I don't know where you're gonna get the eggs from, but he's got chickens. So he takes the chickens, he eats eggs, and then he keeps the shells and he grinds the shells up and he puts those in the plants too, because those have a lot of carbon as well.
The shells.
He utilizes the shells.
No, I think you telling us so we could utilize the shells.
Yeah, you could use that. Look, like keep all your eggshells for me. You can go to a breakfast spot somewhere and they cracking eggs all the time. They're just throwing their shells in the trash. Yeah. You're like, look, here's a bin. Every time you crack an egg, put your eggs in this bin for me. I'm gonna come back and pick it up.
But I learned that it's not the food; it's the soil that has the minerals to give to the plant. So I learned that we can eat food. If that food don't have minerals because it's dead. So
that's the trifecta. That's the trifecta. There's the land, there's the plant, and there's the human. The land has the minerals in it. The plant reaches down and pulls those minerals up. You can't eat those minerals yourself. You need the plant to convert those minerals into a liquid digestible form for you. And then you eat the plant and then you've got those minerals. And it converts those minerals into that liquid digestible form for you through a process called iontrophoresis. Dr. Sebi used to talk about it every once in a while. But iontrophoresis, there was an entire branch of eclectic medicine where all they studied was iontrophoresis. Now, if you looked up iontrophoresis now on Google or anywhere, you are not going to find the true meaning of it. What you will find is a machine that gives off an electric charge transdermally into somebody's skin to stimulate blood flow or something like that. But that electric charge is something that naturally happens between plants and the minerals in the soil, taking up those minerals into the plant, transforming it into a liquid digestible form for you. That's what iontophoresis is. But they don't want you to know that. So that's hidden. You won't find it anywhere. But he talked about it, and the eclectics had it was a complete branch of eclectic medicine on the study of iontophoresis, which was the transfer of that energy through plants from the soil, turning those minerals into liquid for you to digest.
Yeah.
So that's the trifecta: the soil, the plant, the human or animal, whoever consumes the plant to get so that's the Trinity right there.
Right. That's what I was just saying. I was like, it's all about the soil. If the soil don't have the minerals, it's not gonna work. And
the minerals in the soil depends on the plant, depends on what the minerals are. So in order for you to have citrus fruits, there has to be copper in the soil. If there's no copper, you won't have no citrus fruits. And so they're calling it vitamin C,
right?
But it's copper. They're gonna. That's an argument that people are gonna have. But a lot of these scientists, like Gregor Mendel and those old guys, they basically wanted to grandize themselves, so they made up the A, the B, C, vitamin D. D is not even a vitamin; it's a hormone that happens naturally in your body when you're exposed to the sun. But they made up these categories in order to confuse people and to have their own language that they could speak and nobody else would understand. And Dr. Sebi kind of broke that whole thing apart.
All right. Well, we're gonna try to do this again. We thank you, appreciate you for everything that you do. I like seriously, like I really mean what I say. Like we really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We feel like family.
You are family.
Wow, that was awesome. That was a really good discussion. We hope that you guys got something out of this. We know I learned a lot.
I learned so much.
I know, and we thought we knew a lot, but I learned a lot from this. This was a great experience.
And he wants to come back, so we're going to have him back real soon.
Yes. We thank you so much, Mr. Crush Foster, for, coming on our podcast, and we hope that you can come again.
Yes. Before we go, here go the wise quote for today. Be holistic, be wholesome, be holy. Be what? Holistic, wholesome, and holy. Not just WHOLY, but HOLY. Okay? So, before we go, we make sure we do what?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
And subscribe.
And share with a friend.
Share with a friend.
Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.